What's up, everybody? This is your boy Sam's, and this is that comic show. I was about to just leave, and I said, you know what? I got to do this. I had to do this right now. Um, Let me just be very clear. A lot of things in this movie, Avengers: Infinity War, I actually called. I called this from the very beginning. I knew exactly what was going to happen with these characters because it was only logical for these things to happen. So instead of spoiling the movie, I'm just going to talk about 5 different things that I saw and I believe is the reason why Avengers: Infinity War is perfect. So, number one, first thing, it stood true to the comic. Um, if you look at any comic books that deals with Thanos, especially the Thanos Quest and the Infinity War comic book, there are some actors, well, not actors, but there are some characters that are in the movie that we actually see. There's some characters in the movie that actually play the role of other characters that we haven't seen yet. However, the premise is still the same. Thanos is on this quest to get all 6 of the Infinity Stones or Infinity Gems. He goes to different people in order to obtain them. In this movie, we saw this happen. We saw him go to different people to obtain these stones. Yes, the characters are different. Yes, the stones are different and the location is different. However, the premise is the same. See, if you know your comic books, you read your comic books, this movie shouldn't have been much of a surprise to you. You should have known that some of these things were going to happen. It's just very ironic to see how these things actually played out. I thought Marvel did a great job in doing that. Marvel stuck to their guns and they actually made things happen. They did exactly what I thought that they were going to do, and that was to deliver. And they delivered a movie that was very true to the comics. Number 2, the villain story. Now, you know how we always see the heroes get a origin story. Every hero gets an origin story. When it comes to a few comic book characters, we didn't get an origin story, but we got a story of them that picks up in the present, but we see shades of their story that led up to this point. With Thanos is the exact same thing. We don't see an origin story of Thanos. However, everybody knows who Thanos is. Everybody knows what Thanos is trying to do. And the reason why everybody knows this is because they talked about this in the last few movies that we saw. We saw this at the end of Age of Ultron, Avengers, Age of Ultron, where they're walking into everything like that. And Thor says somebody's playing this game and he's made pawns of us. We have to go figure out what's going on. We see this at the end of Avengers, where Thanos actually stands up and he is intrigued by the fact that this group of people actually fought back and stopped him from taking over the world. And if you think about it, that's exactly what he did to Gamora's planet. We see this in the movie. And to see that this is how that planet found its demise, and to know that Earth was able to stand firm because of the heroes at Earth, it makes all the sense to me as to why he would still be adamant about destroying the world and adamant about doing what he had to do. See, that's exactly what Thanos went out to do. And that's why I thought that this was a perfect story for Thanos. It's not an origin to see how he was born and why he looks the way he looks. There are scars on his face. He talks about that one time he had a mission and he decided to walk away from it. Destiny was there and he decided not to answer it. This time he's not going to do that again. He's going to answer it. And we start to see all the things happening. Now, I thought they did a great job in doing this for Thanos and showing us exactly what kind of mad titan we're dealing with. Number 3, the use of the stones. Now, we've always saw in the movies how the stones were used or the lack thereof of them being used. One of the greatest things that I thought about this movie is the way they stood true to Thanos understanding the Infinity Stones. The one thing that Thanos does in the comic books is he knows how to wield the Infinity Stones. Even when the elders give them away because they don't know how to use it, Thanos knows how to use it. Once he obtains all the stones, or, well, not all the stones, but once he starts to obtain certain stones, you start to see how he can use the stones. You start to see how the stones are being used for its greatest potential. We see that. And that's exactly what he does when he tries to do certain things, when he tries to stop certain people. You see him bending the fabric of reality. You see him reverse time. You see him opening portals into space. You see him using the power. And you see him doing all of these things with the Infinity Stones. He knows how to wield it. And that's exactly what they showed in this movie. They showed how Thanos was able to wield the stones with the gauntlet. And then they talked about how the gauntlet was designed. And that leads me to number 4, the forging of Stormbreaker. Now, Stormbreaker, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but Stormbreaker is something that you should look out for. And there is someone who wields Stormbreaker, and there's someone who builds Stormbreaker. You see, they often talk about Mjolnir being forged in the heart of a dying star. And guess where we go? To the heart of the dying star. And it looks like that's exactly what's used in order to make the Infinity Gauntlet. The question is always comes up, well, how on earth is the Infinity Gauntlet even built? Who built the Infinity Gauntlet? It's also funny how the Infinity Gauntlet was sitting right there in Odin's vault. It looks like that maybe, I don't know, maybe the characters built it for a reason. Who to tell? But nevertheless, the fact that they even show the power being wielded and the gauntlet being built or how it was built makes all the sense in the world to me. And it shows just what kind of man or titan Thanos really is. Now, the last thing, number 5, not going based on the script. Everybody always thinks that the heroes is always going to get that happy ending. That didn't happen this time. The heroes didn't have a happy ending. And it seems like every movie after, I would say, Age of Ultron, we start to see that the characters don't get a happy ending. We're starting to notice that the characters seem to lose something after every battle. They lose something after every war. Black Panther lost his cousin at the end of his fight. Doctor Strange still lost the use of his hands. There's so many different things that happen where the characters lose. But in this movie, wow, this movie really stood to their guns. And just as a note, these characters have been around for 10 years. Some of them a little shorter than 10 years. But we kind of grew up with these characters. So to see certain characters have to bite the dust did bring a pain to some people. Some people cried. That's what you do in a movie. That's how you build up. You don't just kill a character the second movie and expect for all of us to cry over it. We won't. Dang. Anyway, those were the 5 things that I thought that this movie was perfect. Trust me, there's much more reasons as to why, but if I start getting into it, spoilers. So I'm going to take the suit off. I'm going to go lay down, and I'm going to sit and ponder as to why I just put myself through so much pain in watching this movie. This movie was perfect. And if you don't know that, I don't know what you've been doing for 10 years of life, but Marvel ain't going nowhere, and Marvel's going to stay. And I can't wait to see what's next, even though we have Ant-Man coming up next. But then again, the universe. Anyway, this is your boy Sam's. This is That Comic Show. Before I go for the night, I want to leave you with a thought. And we're going to talk about this in the next specs. There's a good chance that we might get some more wars. But shh, it's a secret. Sam's out.